It's like it's vanished. Like she's not. Like when I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town.
Claims he told his wife he wanted to split up, causing an emotional conversation.
She wasn't here. Kids weren't here. I have no idea like where they went.
To be distraught over the disappearance of his family.
I can't imagine what you're going through right now. The house, I couldn't sleep at all last night.
At headquarters, he was given a lie detector test, which he failed.
Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
Why would you wipe out your family to be with me?
The judge asked to speak to his father and whispered his confession as police watch from another room.
Tonight, a bombshell twist in the case against Christopher Watts. In a newly released affidavit, Watts saying it was his now deceased wife Shanann who murdered 3-year-old Celeste and 4-year-old Bella.
Your children loved you to the moon and back.
My daddy is a hero.
There's nothing that would have predicted any of this could have ever happened.
What kind of father could be such a monster that he not only kills his pregnant wife, but his 2 beautiful little girls? Well, the answer is someone with a narcissistic personality disorder. The scariest part is a narcissist actually thinks he can get away with it.
Hi guys, it's me, Val. Happy Sunday. Today's video is another Chris Watts video. Now, I know YouTube's saturated with these videos because it's such a despicable, disgusting, sad, emotional. I mean, I don't have the words to cover how I feel about the situation. I did a video in September. Since then, obviously, there's been a lot more stuff on YouTube to look at. I don't think I've ever seen a case before that's had so much. Or maybe there has, but I just haven't had that emotional tie to a story before where I've actually really looked into the evidence and gone overboard on watching literally every single video that is made, as I think that most of us have. Now, if there's anybody that don't like these videos and doesn't want to watch them and is sick of them, well, then you don't have to watch. You can scroll on by. But I think there's a lot that if we can do something to honour Shannon's memory and use what she went through to educate other people so they don't go through the same thing, I think this is the best way to do it, because we need to share narc awareness. We need to share the information, and we need to get it out there so that people can be aware of what these human beings are capable of.
And Chris has always been a nice guy, always been a good guy. He's been a great friend.
So Chris was quiet. He very, very rarely went out with us, but he was pretty shy, very, very reserved.
He was a good kid. There's nothing that would have predicted any of this could have ever happened. Nothing in his childhood at all. He was quiet, and he got along with people.
So what was your first impression of Chris?
He was really nice. He was quiet.
We only have seen like 1% of what happened in their lives. Yes, we've seen footage. Yes, we've seen Shannon's videos. Yes, we've seen her Facebook page updates, and she did those because obviously she's working. It was her job. A lot of people are criticising her about that, but that's what she did. She did maybe, what, half an hour every day, every other day. We only see that half an hour when she's working. What right do we have to judge her on that 20 minutes, 30 minutes that she did what she did? Now, Chris Watts, as we can see, has been a quiet child. We only see a little part. We only know a little bit of what people say. We know that these people have lived with him their whole lives, and he's been and turned out the person that he is. If they didn't see it, how are we supposed to see it? He could have hidden the fact that he maybe, he could have hurt animals. He could have done anything when he was a child, but no one saw it. See, Sociopaths are made from a young age, and psychopaths are born psychopaths. So learning about these people and realising that they just try and get along on this planet for as long as they possibly can, but then something happens and lots of worlds collide, and I do think this is what happened with Chris. Lots of things collided all at once and created the outcome that we see. Just because the guy was a quiet kid, that says nothing. How do we know that what he wasn't doing behind the scenes? How do we know he wasn't hurting animals? Dissecting frogs like Jeffrey Dahmer used to do. Now Jeffrey Dahmer, he never hurt animals, but he would pick up roadkill and he would dissect them because he was interested in the internal workings of humans, of animals. He was interested in the internal workings of life. So he didn't necessarily kill animals when he was young, but look what happened to him. I don't think we'll ever know what really happened, but just looking at the facts, looking at the details, maybe we can gain some knowledge.
It's Chris Watts. I'm doing my communication speech for Brenda Armentrout, and welcome to Broomfield, Colorado. About 70 degrees, and it's awesome outside, so welcome. I'm doing my speech on relationship deterioration and repair.
Now there is a cerebral narcissist. Now they use their intellect. They will show off. They will lie about what they do, and they will just. They're not interested in sex really at all. The only time they're interested in sex is if they've got a trauma in their life where maybe they're financially unstable or they're going through a divorce. They'll use sex at that point. So they'll go overboard. They'll indulge in sex and everything to kind of get past that section in their life. And then what will happen is when they've got past that section and the memory fades, they'll go back to being cerebral.
He was very dedicated to school. He was very dedicated to his work. You know, he wasn't the kind of guy that went out and partied all the time. All right, this is school, this is my future. Never anything in his past that would have alerted me in any way, shape, or form to this kind of behavior. Like I said, very dedicated to what he was doing at the time and very hard on himself. He wanted to get those good grades. He wanted to do well.
Cerebral narcissist. An intelligent, successful, highly functioning narcissist may be amongst the most dangerous of all, because they are extremely hard to detect. People outside of the family home may not believe that this person is even disordered. They may have had high achieving parents and or those with high expectations who granted them attention and recognition where they were doing well at something, and yet didn't unconditionally offer them love when they didn't. He or she struggles to have close personal relationships. Even the quieter cerebral narcissists, which aren't outwardly as confident, will have a very limited ability to listen to your conversations and validate you. Cerebral narcissists who are high functioning may not have the loose, explosive tempers of other narcissists. They tend to plot much more effectively rather than exploding into rages. And they take the longer view as to how to fulfill their agendas with mastermind planning even. Revenge and payback is delivered to the people who have done them wrong and believe that people should get what they deserve. This narcissist is as cruel as any other, and it's more of a cold cruelty than a hot cruelty. Cerebral narcissists may seek highly intelligent, attractive and or successful partners who make them look good, because it is about feeding the ego. Yet the narcissistic superiority will cause them to be in fierce competition with a spouse or a lover. Cerebral narcissists, we are bonded to them through our weaknesses. We've been trying to get success and that height of achievement, the genuine height of achievement, we've been trying to get it by proxy through another person. And we've picked a false substitute, a cerebral narcissist who isn't successful either. This is an empty person trying to get narcissistic supply. And it all goes horribly, horribly pear-shaped. So when we pull away and we let go of needing to get it through that person, and we heal the traumas that have been brought up with us in this horrible, painful exchange, and we heal and we clear all of that, we start becoming who we are.
So I've actually put links in, obviously, for other channels to hopefully sort of confirm what I'm talking about. What Tony just said there, I think what happened was he chose her because she was weak at the time, and he mirrored her. He mirrored everybody, to be honest. And she fell for him because of what she could maybe get, which was love. But as soon as she started to get more successful than him, as soon as she started to take off with her Thrive business, as soon as she got her confidence back from when she first met him, he didn't like that, because then she got better than him. So I do think when I said before a lot of worlds collided, I think that's what happened. Worlds collided. The fact that he pretended to be somebody with her, she thought she was getting somebody who could love her unconditionally. Then she got a lot more successful, and he didn't like her confidence. She fought hard to keep her family together. She did many jobs. She did Thrive. And he seemed to follow her around. Maybe that hit his ego hard. And maybe that was one of the things that set the ball rolling. Somatic narcissism. Somatics love to show off. Soma comes from ancient Greek. It's a word meaning the body, which is what they use to fulfill themselves, and they use this to get their victims. They use sex as a tool. They like to have a beautiful woman on their arms and show off. These people have many partners, but they're very cold emotionally. They will pursue somebody. So if there's a girl or a woman or a man who turns you down, who's hard to get, who's, you know, who doesn't seem really interested in you, that sets off their narcissism to the point where I'm going to get this person. So they enjoy the pursuit more than anything, really. And it's a challenge to them to secure their conquest, really. The more difficult the target is to get, the more they want it and the more they feel they deserve it.
I rejected him. I pushed him away time and time and time again, but he stuck around, and he stuck around because he was the one for me.
Once they have that conquest, it gives them a buzz and they're desirable. Their goal is to give them a sexual performance, you know, making that victim satisfied and head over heels in love and in lust. Yeah, and they rarely get emotionally involved, because if they do, well, I don't think they can anyway. I think they see infatuation as love. They get infatuated and they don't know what love is, so they presume the infatuated feeling is love. Narcissists think they're in love, but they're actually infatuated. Narcissists, well, somatic narcissists, again, don't make love. Excuse my language, but that's it.
He seemed like a genuine guy, you know. I mean, he was funny, he was very rough, I would say. Very rough. And, you know, the best way I can describe it is as he's almost zoned out into a different person.
Yeah, there's no emotional side to them. There's no kisses, there's no cuddles, there's nothing that a normal relationship you'd have from, there's nothing. They'll tell you they love you. They love porn. They'll watch porn, they'll get off on porn. They'll think that the sex in porn is realistic. They're acting. So when the person mirrors porn in a relationship, that's where it's emotionless and not very good, basically. It's not good, and that's what they think love is, that's what they think sex is, because all they watch is porn, they don't know basically anything else. Obviously making love comes from emotions, and they don't have emotions, so they don't make love, they just screw. The more you watch porn, the more porn you have to watch. The more porn you watch, the more porn that you have to vary to watch. You have to vary. They have to find varied ways of turning themselves on, and when I say varied ways, I mean no boundaries. They'll basically want to do all sorts, taboo maybe, I don't know, whatever you think maybe is taboo, anything, they'll just do it. They have to just get more and more because porn just dulls it, so they have to go up one more level.
The narcissist encourages his children, his siblings, to idolize him, to adore him. These roles are best fulfilled by ones whose mind is not yet fully formed and independent. The older the siblings or offspring get, the more they become critical of the narcissist, even judgmental. When they grow older, siblings and children are better able to put into context and perspective the narcissist's actions, to question his motives, to anticipate his moves. They are, in other words, rendered useless by the passage of time. Narcissists accord the same treatment to children as they do to adults. They regard both as sources of narcissistic supply, mere instruments of gratification. The narcissist's inability to acknowledge and abide by the personal boundaries set by others puts his children at a heightened risk of abuse, verbal, emotional, physical, and often sexual. The narcissist's possessiveness, transformations of aggression, such as rage and envy. These hinder the narcissist's ability to act as a good enough parent. His propensities for reckless behavior, substance abuse, and sexual deviance endanger the child's welfare, or even, in extreme cases, the child's life.
So the reason that I actually put that little video in there of my old videos was because I did a video on somatic and cerebral, and I do see these traits in him. I do think the fact that he quit football and quit doing the sports when he was at a young age, his parents might have come down heavy on him. Obviously sociopaths are made by their parents, psychopaths are born, could have had a bit of both. Everything overlaps. You don't suddenly come to a wall where there's one finishes, another one starts. They all overlap, they all intermingle. The spectrum of abuse is wide and they all overlap. So the fact that obviously when he met Shannon he was overweight and he didn't really go out much, and at school he was trying so hard to get his grades. Could be the fact that he had the traits of a cerebral. What happens when you're a cerebral narcissist? Something big happens in your life, a big drama, a big change. Could have been the fact that he was bad at his finances, bankrupt. He then started to lose weight. They obviously lose weight as well to keep hold of the prize that they've got. Shannon was a prize. Shannon was a prize. Now, some people might not think that, but I think Shannon was a bloody good prize and she deserved to get someone better than him. So they fight for that prize. When he got that prize, he needed to lose weight to keep her because she could have gone off with somebody else. The fact that he went from a cerebral type of person who was intellectual, who was, you know, he didn't seem intellectual. Obviously, he said the word like a lot, which is a word filler. For somebody who you always think maybe he's a bit stupid. There's sides to Chris that maybe, you know, we don't know about because we haven't watched him all his life. But the fact that when something big happens in your life and you go from that to losing weight and suddenly being a sex addict, that's where the cerebral and somatic come into play. And again, I'm doing all these different traits of narcissism to try and show that Chris tended to have them. We don't exactly know what Chris was, but we can see things. And if I can educate and help people understand that narcissism isn't just somebody that does Facebook lives or takes pictures of themselves all the time. Because Shannon deserved somebody better than him. And Shannon deserves to be cleared.
It's not a joint account.
It's a joint account, but like she controls all of it. Like she doesn't let me do the finances because I was pretty horrible back in the day, so she just kind of handles all that and she does it. I have the apps on my phone, but I don't have her login.
Yeah. The finances were obviously an issue. I think she downplayed them a little bit, but it wasn't. You know, I knew they had filed for bankruptcy a couple years ago, but she kind of presented it like, oh, well, it's going to help us, you know, in the long run. And it was, I mean, she worked really hard. So at one time, she did have 2 or 3 jobs at a time. So she was doing what she could to help provide for her family.
Series. Red flag number 8 is poor financial management. You know, it's not uncommon for narcissists to have, you know, foreclosure, bankruptcy, repossessions. You know, they have a ton of financial issues. Narcissists also are known for living a parasitic existence. This means that they tend to gravitate towards people that can take care of them. They are the ultimate mooch.
So, you know, basically when he started out, he was overweight. He mirrored and love-bombed Shannon when she was at her weakest. He then started to lose weight. Shannon then started to get stronger. He decided the ego boost he wanted from her and all the adoration because she had more attention on Thrive. Maybe he didn't like that. They had a financial issue because narcissists can't deal with finances. My ex-covert is the same thing. His wife had all the bank details. He didn't even know how much money he had because he was bad at finances. Did the fact that they went bankrupt, did that kick off the somatic narcissist? Was he actually cerebral? And did that kick off the somatic, where he started going on dating sites, started meeting people for sex, started getting his girlfriends to research into porn? You know, if we look at it like this, all the details are starting to sort of show certain traits. Again, covert narcissists aren't just coverts, somatics aren't just somatics, psychopaths aren't just psychopaths. You know, you can be a narcissist, but you don't need to be a psychopath or a sociopath. But if you're a sociopath or a psychopath, you have narcissism. So it works like that. So the traits were there. There were starings in the face. Now, again, whether he's anything that I've actually mentioned in this video, as long as someone's gaining some knowledge from this, as long as somebody is coming to the end of this video and have had a lot more information and education than when they started it, that's what all my channel's about, is trying to get narc awareness out there. So I do think the fact that the finances were bad, the bankruptcy, and I think that, again, cerebral narcissists, when they have financial disasters, they go somatic and they turn into a sex addict. Now, is that what happened to Chris? Why he was dating people off Tinder? Why he started going into all the porn? Why he started to turn against Shannon? Because he was jealous of her.
They are the worst type of narcissist, the absolute worst. Covert narcissists thrive by pretending to be something they are not. They get what they need out of life by creating this false self, this facade that gets them the money, the respect, but all at the same time, they're in these relationships where they're hurting people and behaving pathologically narcissistic behind the scenes. It is, most of all, first and foremost, disturbing, because you have bought into the image, the persona of the kind, benevolent, giving person. Don't we want to believe that the kindness is true, that they really care about us, and that the empathy is not BS? They thrive on being able to fool. They thrive on being able to deceive. But because they can't get what they want if the world knows who they really are.
And then shortly after that, Cindy called me crying and afraid because she was afraid she had just lost Chris, that, you know, Shanann was going to turn Chris against her. So she had called me crying and just letting me know. But then, out of nowhere, Cindy did text me or call me again and say that Chris has decided to separate from Shanann. For years, his family has always assumed that Shanann has been pretty shady. And I never really saw it, but they all had reason to believe that she was very, there was something about her. And Chris said he had finally seen whatever his family had seen. He had finally seen that side of her. And she was just, this is what they were telling me, is that she was very shady. She had a dark past, like she was just very conniving, and that was what they were telling me. I saw Shanann, I didn't see any of that. Like, she was always very pleasant. I didn't really trust her just because of a lot of things that were being said. Again, I never actually physically saw anything.
So we get into triangulation. Obviously, Chris's mum interfered a lot. Whether it was Chris's mum's fault, the reason why Chris grew up like he did, we all have our own opinions on that. A lot of people don't like Chris's mum. Again, what we're seeing is just clips of stuff. We are making our minds up on stuff that we see. And again, with narcissism, everything that you see is not the truth. Sometimes the good are the bad and the bad are the good. You know, the triangulation with Shannon. She could have been that person. We don't know. We never will know. We just have to base our opinions on what we're seeing. But the fact is that I don't think, and we all know that Chris's mother didn't like Shannon. Maybe she was jealous because Shannon had taken her little boy away. We don't know. We'll never will know. But the fact that Shannon's mum was triangulating, was going to Chris's friends, talking about Shannon, was trying to turn people against her. Chris's friend, the video that you've just seen, he obviously had an idea of who Shannon was through Chris's mum's conversations with him. And this is what narcissists do. They triangulate. They go to your friends. They'll badmouth you. Because if they can't turn you into what they want you to turn into, they'll change people's opinions so that they turn you into somebody they want you to turn into by what people think of you. It's all very confusing, but I think that's what happened to turn people against Shannon. Now, we'll never know whether Shannon was that person, but what I've seen of her, we all have our faults, we all have our traits, but I don't think Shannon deserved what she got. And again, I'm doing this video to hopefully get some knowledge out there so that people can stop blaming Shannon. She wasn't perfect, but she still should be here. She should still be here, and so should Bella and Cece and Nico, because I myself don't want this to ever happen again to anybody, which is why I'm doing my videos. Triangulation is a trait of narcissism. To make you feel alienated, to make you feel alone, to make you feel like that no one actually can be there for you. Triangulation is hard. I've had it. And to try to convince those people that you aren't the person that this person's saying, it makes you look even crazier. Narcissism is the worst.
So when we went out to dinner, he went to pay the check, and I noticed that instead of using one of the Anadarko gift cards, he had a baby blue credit card in his hand that he used to pay. So I was like, well, maybe he just doesn't really care anymore, you know? And why would he do that? And other that I was like, it's plausible that now he's just not, like, has nothing to cover up, you know? Yeah, I'm going to pay with this, right, and I don't care. No, I just think that was extremely peculiar because he had never done that before. Okay. And when it came to, like, paying for things, it was always the Anadarko gift cards. So I just noticed that one last time that we hung out, that he paid with a credit card, and I was confused.
So he takes out Nicole Kettinger for a meal and uses a credit card. He uses a family credit card. He uses a credit card that he knows Shannon will see the statement, because she's obviously got all the control of the finances. Why? Because he obviously is useless at finances because he's a narcissist. She's going to see that. Now, that is a manipulative ploy. And, you know, it could have been the fact that he was going to just divorce. He didn't care anymore, like Nicole said. I think it's for different reasons. I think it's to start the drama at home. I think it's so that Shannon will see that and will query it. He knew he was getting rid of her, and he just didn't see the point anymore. I just think that's what it is, because he'd given up being a secret by then. He'd given up hiding his secret, and he used that credit card on purpose, like I say, because he wanted Shannon to see the statement, and he wanted to start devaluing her He wanted her to start seeing, and he wanted to see her pain. This is what narcissists do. They enjoy, they get supply, they get that feed from others' emotions. The fact that they can control other people's emotions, and the fact also that he was a covert. He was doing it all behind the scenes. He may have done it to call her crazy. He may have done it so that when she saw that statement and said, "What's this here?" Because she did find it, because I remember reading something about the fact that she found it, and he said that he was away at the football, went out for a meal, which, you know, he denied it. So that would be the crazy making side. That would be giving her doubts. That would be making her feel. That was his reason for paying the credit card, for many reasons. Either he was discarding her, he knew he was going to discard her in the worst way, he didn't care. He wanted to make her crazy, and he wanted to devalue her.
Hey guys, I'm Deja, and I wanted to review a product I've never heard of and I just received in the mail. It's called Thrive. They also claim it's all natural, but it is not FDA approved. And I began to feel jittery, like tingles, hyper, like I've got all this energy I don't know what to do with. It says after 24 hours, replace it and put a new one on a different part of your body. I got up and, of course, I felt dizzy, lightheaded, and then I started crying. I felt overly emotional. This is not normal for me. This is like an emotional roller coaster already, and all this jitterness, I don't think that's healthy.
You needed one patch a day. And when he would hang out with me, he always wore 2 to take. Now, was he doubling up on those other items? I am not sure now. He always had a ridiculous amount of energy, and it wasn't, I could tell, like, his body wanted to sleep, but, like, his mind couldn't sleep. So like he was on speed.
Thrive. Now, he was taking Thrive supplements, and we know, and as you can see by a photograph I've put up, he was wearing 2 patches. I would presume he was wearing 2 patches all the time. Again, I don't have the evidence about that. But I put a review up as well. As you can see, a lady, I hope she doesn't mind using her footage. It didn't agree with her. It made her jumpy. It made her irritable. It made her depressed. Her moods were all over the place. Now, if someone's taking these things for a very long period of time, was this perhaps his addiction? Because obviously, as a cerebral, which was my opinion that he might be, they turn to addiction at times of drama, like I said, financial drama, bankruptcy. Was that his addiction? Was he addicted to Thrive? Was it affecting him? Was the mixture of his maybe disorder, maybe all his issues, maybe his whatever was wrong with Chris Watts? Did Thrive bring it on? Did Thrive make it worse? We've got to look at all these things, and this is the timeline of, I think, what's going on. Is like I said at the beginning, when all worlds collide. Are all these things coming together? Was this the ingredients for a disaster? Was there something in the product that disagreed with him? Did it bring on his psychopathy? Did it bring on his narcissistical traits stronger? I think this is something that, I'm not knocking Thrive, but I do think there might be something in it.
The last time I talked to him, he said, "I just want to cry." And I looked at him and said, "Why aren't you?"
What to do when someone tells you they love you? How are you supposed to feel when someone tells you they love you? What kind of thing is that to Google? Because normal people won't even think of Googling that sentence. So that proves to me that he's trying to act. He's researching how to be human. He's researching how to act, how to say he loves you. He's researching love poems, which he researches how to be human. Even Nicole said there, he said he wants to cry, but he can't. And she says, well, why don't you? They can't bring on human emotions, so what they do is they talk about them. They'll say, oh, I feel so sad, or I love you so much, but their actions don't portray their words. So the only thing that he could do is, I just want to cry. And that's why she said, well, why don't you cry? Because he couldn't cry. So he had to talk about wanting to cry. And it's just, you can see these traits of him. He was an empty person. He mirrored people. You can see in her videos, he's standing in the background and he'll only reply virtually most of the time. And she says, don't you think that, Chris? And Chris will go, oh yeah. Do you like that bar you're eating? Oh yeah, it's lovely. He doesn't seem to have much character, much personality. And I find that in narcissists, they don't seem to have a lot about them because they can't act human. He's researching how to act human. He's researching.
Lackluster in the last few months because she was always in contact with him. So whenever she went,
That movie was the psychological thriller Shutter Island. Leonardo DiCaprio plays a husband who murders his wife because she killed their children.
Where are the kids?
The discard. The discard is the final thing that they do, narcissists will do. They will go through all the devalue stage, they will go through the love bombing stage, they will go through every single stage, they get to the discard stage. Now most people just get discarded by text, get discarded by email, or just get discarded in person and ghosted and silent treatment and left until maybe they're hoovered back. Shanann had the worst discard out of, well, discards in history, because he actually, the word discard was more in context. He discarded of her. He discarded of the children. It's like, again, everything, and I'm talking about this as I go, the ingredients, his disorder, his thrive habit, his cerebral. He met Nicole. She had all the ingredients perhaps that he was looking for. Maybe they were both narcissists. They were both in the dark. They were both on the same dark wavelength. She was as sordid as him, and he maybe thought that he'd actually found his soulmate. He pretended to be Shanann's soulmate, but maybe he felt that he'd actually found the soulmate. Again, addictions, they're addicted to love, they're addicted to stuff. And she obviously went along with his porn thing. She was watching and looking for porn in Google. She was just probably, I don't know much about Nicole. I might do another video but on Nicole. I don't want people to get sickened of these videos. But Shanann's discard was literally, he got to that point in his life where not only was he malfunctioning, he thought that he could discard one life and start up another. And the narcissism in him made him think without the consequences, because narcissists don't see consequences. Narcissists live for the moment. Narcissists don't really see what might happen, and if they do, they know they can lie. So they lie today just so they can lie tomorrow, and then when they get caught in that lie, they'll just lie again. But obviously I think Chris didn't realise that there are clever people out there and cleverer than him, with the detectives and the police, that wound him down and got the truth in the end. But I do think that everything started to snowball and everything came together. It's like all worlds collided. You have Nicole. You have Shanann, who's having a baby. He panicked over that. You have Thrive, making him paranoid, making him even more narcissistic. He wanted a new life. And at that point, when she came home, he'd actually planned it. He'd planned it. He'd planned it because he sent that picture of the doll covered in the sheet. Now that was his side of grandiose. That was his side of feeling excited. Couldn't keep it in, had to do something. That's his stupidity though, because he didn't actually realise that that's something that may have backfired on him, obviously. The police haven't really mentioned that much, but it's out there. It adds up with every other ounce of evidence against him. Why would you send a photograph of a dead doll under a shroud? That's just weird. So that's another little game they play. It's the side of him, it's grandiose, he just couldn't keep it in. He had to do something to confuse her. And there was something really malicious, really dark about that. You can see in the footage as well, he's taken his wedding ring off. At that point he decided it's over, this life's over, I'm going to start the new one. He took his lupus band off. All the props that he had when he was with Shanann, he just removed. He removed every prop in his life, right down to his children, his wife, his wedding ring, anything that seemed to be part of his old life. And he thought he'd get away with it.
Later on a baby monitor, he claims he saw his wife actively strangling Celeste, their 3-year-old, as 4-year-old Bella was sprawled out on her bed and blue.
I don't want to protect her. What? I don't want to protect her. You don't want to protect her? I don't know what else to say. What happened? Huh? She hurt him? Yeah. So she started hurting the kids. Paper. Probably because what happened? What? She smelled it. Or choking. No. When I was downstairs, they came back up and they were gone. Talking to her about separation and everything, about thinking she lost her. I freaked out. Those are my kids. She freaked out over the separation and everything. She laid back down, but that's when I went downstairs, but I heard like a little commotion upstairs, but I didn't think anything of it. And then you went back upstairs and she was never, I could see like she was on top of me. What, choking her or did she kill her? They were blue. Both of them? Yeah. She choked both of them to death. I to God. I freaked out and nothing else to do. Didn't know what to do.
So she killed Lucy, Steve, and Bella, choked on death.
Not just this. It's rage. I hadn't.
She actually killed both her children. And you snapped. Well, you find a lawyer. See what you can do. She had killed both of them.
What's that?
Woman.
You okay? I'm sure.
Then why would she hit my fucking girls?
So, as you can see, the smear campaign. See, narcissists do a smear campaign. Narcissists do a smear campaign, so anything that they've done is like a forensic cleanup. Anything they've done to their victim, by making them to blame, taking the responsibility away from themselves and putting it onto another person, they can walk away. You know, it wasn't me, it was her. Everything was her. He even did that after her death. He even smear campaigned his wife that he murdered. He couldn't even have the guts to admit it back then. He sat there and lied and lied. He thought he could beat the lie detector. But he wasn't as clever as he thought. He smeared his wife's name after he'd killed her. No way would Shannon hurt those children. So I do think that he had lots of different traits. His parents had something to do with his upbringing. Excuse my spike. All worlds collide. Everything in his life collided. And it made the ingredients to a monster. He met Shannon. He love-bombed. He mirrored. He took her life on as his own, as a ploy to look human. She was weak at the time. She got strong. He didn't like that. They had financial issues that created that drama that cerebrals don't deal with, and then they turn into a somatic, a sex addict. He scrolled Tinder and the internet to find people to sleep with. He was on Thrive, which was his addiction, as well as the addiction when he found Nicole. Nicole was as dark as him, probably. Nicole fed his ego, fed the side of him that maybe Shannon stopped feeding. He got scared, Shannon got pregnant, he didn't want that life anymore. Everything came to a head, all the ingredients. His mother was domineering. He was a covert narcissist. He hid the devil inside. He hid his true self so he could get on in life. He copied people, he mirrored, he Googled how to be human. He wiped out his family because they served no further purpose to him. That's what's freaky about this whole situation. How anyone can do that. Shannon shone brighter than him. She grew in person, she grew in personality, she got stronger. Shannon and Chris had a symbiotic relationship, which means they kind of feed off each other. They were both level, even keel. Symbiotic means, you know, like the bird that eats the ticks off the back of a hippo. They both benefit, you know. The hippo gets cleaned, the bird gets fed. But the imbalance was there. Shannon's side was gaining more from the relationship. And also what happens when we get discarded, we all get the chance to start to Google, we all get the chance to look back in time, we all get the chance to look back on the emails. We look back on our life. We watch videos like this. And we learn. And we realise what happened. Shanann didn't get that chance. No one saw the red flags. No one saw anything. We just see what we see in the footage. We see Shanann doing her Thrive on Facebook, working. We'll never know what really happened behind the closed doors. We'll never know what happened when they were getting ready to go to bed, when they were having their dinner in the kitchen. We don't see any of that. No one sees any of that side of a narcissistic relationship. She never got a chance to tell anybody that maybe he was really nasty. She never got the chance to say, well, actually, I could see them red flags. She never got the chance to Google and to talk to her family and to friends and say, this is who he was. She never got the chance to learn, to get stronger like everybody else. And she never got the chance to progress in life and have those children grow up with her and find somebody who loved her. She didn't get the chance to grow from this where we have. We've all grown from our situations. We've learned and we've educated ourselves, and as I always say, education is power against these people. She didn't get that. She was destroyed before she got the chance. She never got the chance to watch Vaknin, H.G. Tudor, or any of the others. She never got the chance to think, oh my God, have that aha moment where you realise what the hell happened. She never had the chance to see the red flags. She never had the fucking chance, which we did. So Shannon never got the chance to find out who the monster was that she married, which is why I'm doing, or I've done this video, because if anything, like I said in my last video that I did in September, if anything good can come out of this, it's that more people know about that humans aren't always human and empaths aren't always empaths. So thanks for watching. And this story will stay with us for a very, very long time. Please share this video. I don't normally ask people to share my videos or to like them. But if you do feel that anything you learnt in this video is going to be beneficial to anybody else, just share it. Okay. Thank you so much. Take care.